Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid South Wrestling Review Report Series for the 21st of April, 1984, and ultimately Terry Taylor addressing the TV title situation and the fact that it was kind of stolen from him due to the interference of Butch Reed and the issues with Crusher Khrushchev. Kind of tops the show off. Taylor is kind of a meek and mild guy, at least here as a babyface. I actually always preferred him as a heel, but it is there. Um, then we see another classic in the series between the Rock and Roll Express and the uh, Midnight Express. Always a good series, probably, I don't know, other than maybe the Rockers and the Brainbusters. My favorite tag team series of all time. Maybe third would be the Dudleys and the Eliminators. I have certain teams that I really like together, and I would say Rock and Roll and Midnight is behind Busters and Rockers for me, but that's all because I grew up a WWF kid. So, in any event, Morton and Eaton start off. Eaton with the red tights this time. Eaton sure does own a lot of tights. I just noticed that. Square off, baby faces get a few double teams in. Gibson comes in, kind of hangs onto the headlock. Again, these two teams have been going around over the tag team championships since the Rock and Rolls came in, and probably the hottest tag feud. I wonder, certainly the hottest tag feud in Mid South I could ever imagine. I don't imagine that any two teams ever did well, but I'm curious on tag feud money where this would rank all time. I would guess pretty high. Back elbow by Condrey, and Condrey manages to take some cheap shots along the way. Morton comes in with a few leg locks and tries to get some drop to holds and basic stuff there. Meanwhile, Condrey into the corner and kind of talking it through, kind of making things happen. Cornette, obviously, a major force for the team as well, although he's not as visible in this particular matches as normal. Up and over and around, and the hip toss by Morton. Morton, a fantastic baby face, no big surprise there. Drop kicks under the chin, and there we go. Kicks by Condrey, and Condrey manages to get advantage where he can. Takes a few shots under the chin, and again, there we kind of go in a aggressive manner and hard shots by Eaton. Eaton manages to do everything he can and hook things up as quick as possible. Front face lock and kind of gets some deal there. Interesting to me that Morton takes the majority of the match, does the majority of selling. Hot tag to Robert Gibson seems to be the major way things go. All four teams or all four members of both teams in the ring, and the referee losing control of the match. Meanwhile, Morton tries for the roll up and gets it. Referee is distracted though, and then we kind of see the visual pin of the Midnights there. And Cornette comes in, uses the racket, and the champion, the Midnight Express, runs away with a victory because of the use of the racket and knockout blow there. Moving on, new Mr. Wrestling 2 versus Steve Bryson. Bryson's been an enhancement talent for a while. New Mr. Wrestling, I still think, is Jim Neidhart, although I'm not 100% sure on that anyway. Tie up early. Wrestling 2 manages to get a few shots and then a dropping fist drop along the way. Does the double bicep pose and kind of is a little aggressive there. Holds on to the armbar and then manages to take almost a torture rack type backbreaker, takes them down. The other Mr. Wrestling 2 manages to be at ringside and cheering him along. Vertical suplex snaps him over, gets enough, and gets a victory there. Hacksaw Duggan, Crusher Khrushchev. Not a big surprise that these two would go at it with the international nature of their issues. But we kind of continue to see Volkov going right at Duggan. I mean, those or Khrushchev going right at Duggan rather. And we see some shots there. Duggan with the big duck of the clothesline and shot after shot. Irish whip, back elbow by Duggan. Duggan goes for some stomps, and then we see kind of teeing up and managing to go that way. Choking by the adversary by Khrushchev. Snaps him over with a snapmare. Big body slam in the middle. Actually turned into a stun gun type maneuver. Khrushchev pretty dominant throughout, and he actually does have a good run in the Mid South area for several months here, as we have seen. Duggan kind of stomping along, continuing the brawling style double chops along the way, and misses the opportunity to get a victory. Shoulder tackle from the second rope from Duggan. You don't see that very often, but Duggan manages to kind of get a ground and pound on his opponent. Volkov makes a way in, getting some disqualification deal going. Butch Reed and Buddy Landel versus Poffo and King. Up next, again, Landel and Reed. Kind of a team that I guess they're getting ready for the Rock and Roll Express at this point. At least that's what I've written here. John King, not really a guy worth writing home about. Of course, Lanny Poffo has been around for the duration of most of '84. He moves on to the CWA Memphis area in late '84, early '85, before going to the WWF with his brother. So I mean, the run there is kind of interesting too. Reed manages to use the power. Landel more the chicken heel, and kicks off by Reed. Reed, of course, former tag team champion with Jim Neidhart. Reed, a former multi-time North American champion. Tag off to King. King doesn't last in there very long. It's clear that they'd rather work with Lanny, and who can blame them? Lanny's a good seller. Lanny has a lot of positive traits to him. Leapfrogs by Poffo, manages the clothesline. Reed comes back with that clothesline, and ultimately we see Landel come in. Landel gets a few shots off, and again, a few Irish whips along the way. Reed comes back in. Reed with the power. Calls through the legs, tag off, hot tag to John King. Not sure that is the average approval rating or whatever. Kick under the chin there, and tag off to Buddy Landel. Landel manages to hit the back elbow, and ultimately big body slams along the way. Corkscrew elbow. Landel gets the victory for his team. 1, 2, 3. We move on to Masa Ito and Joe Savoldi. Ito was a bigger guy in the area over the last several months. Hasn't been so much here, kind of dropped off a little bit. Maybe didn't get over the way Watts had intended. Not really sure what the deal is there. Savoldi, though, does a lot of enhancement work here through '84. Running almost Oklahoma Stampede type power slam and shoulder breaker by Ito. Ito with a leg drop, and kind of has lost a little bit of the nerve hold, but still uses many of the martial arts strikes that we have come to know him for. Ito is a guy who really seems quite satisfied and gets a victory there. Wrestling 2 against Stagger Lee. Obviously, the Stagger Lee character is the Junkyard Dog under a mask. I believe it still is here. Junkyard Dog, obviously a guy that everybody loves and admires. Stagger Lee, a character they did when Dog was out of town, blah, blah, blah. Not really a fan of the gimmick. Never really have been a fan of those type of, mask a guy up and all that. And Mr. America, probably the most known in the last 20 years of that bunch. But anyway, clothesline by Stagger Lee, and Lee manages to brawl a little bit. And then we kind of see some chokes and really basic stuff by Lee. Wrestling 2 sends him into the ropes, and again, punch, kick, choke, basic stuff. Only over because the fans obviously know that it's Dog under the mask. Dog manages the big thump slam, and 1, 2, 3, and away we go. That will be the end of another one of our Mid-South review series. Dog basically says under the mask that he is here to right the wrongs in Mid-South, and we close the program. We'll be back with more right after this.